Friday takes us. As we do have in the bottom left-hand side, the blue Zerg player Reynor from Kaiser Gaming. In the top right, it is going to be our red Protoss player ShoWTimE. As we kick this off, we get this going. We'll wait to see just how things are going to go as we kick off into the action today. So this is going to be, like I say, some games from a little while back. These games were played. When were they played, Wardy? I think about 2 weeks ago. So they're not super old. They were played on the, whichever version of the patch was active on the balance mod at that point, and they were played on that version. And on top of that, obviously they were played on the new maps, which is why we're kind of working our way through them. I just want to get up to date with these ESL Open Cups before we head to Katowice in a couple weeks' time. So all that very exciting, and that's what we're going to be focusing on throughout the day. As we start off with a pretty standard little move in. Probe comes scouting through. Not much to really say here. Not much to really do. It's going to be seeing Probe continuing to dance around for just a little bit. For a few moments, obviously just having a little bit of fun. And seeing what it can get up to exactly over the next little while. So, Probe having a good time. Obviously, in a bit of ZvP action on this patch, I feel like this is one of the matchups which is going to be interesting to see more than anything else, because we've obviously had, we've obviously had a lot of changes that can affect the Zerg mid-game, which can obviously affect what you can do as a Protoss player in terms of getting set up and everything. I think that's always very fun, so I'll be interested to see how this pans out. Do you have our Stargate coming up, our next coming in, and pretty much everything looking pretty regular for the first few moments here on Royal Blood. Nothing looking too out of the ordinary immediately. Now, when we have these two players, I always feel like these two are very fun players to watch. But it's always an interesting matchup between these two, because Reynor sometimes can be very aggressive, really try and break you down. Obviously, ShoWTimE is usually very good in that scenario. He's really good defensively, playing the macro game. But they're both really good late game. Obviously, ShoWTimE for what I just said, but Reynor can also just bring that kind of late game factor to play if he needs to. So yeah, kind of intriguing as to what we'll perhaps be seeing. Here in these first few games of this series, or just in this entire series in general. Especially interested to see whether Reynor has any kind of new stuff to bring to bear as well, right? I'd be interested to see if he has anything new to spice things up with a little bit and all that kind of stuff. So again, just excited in general to see what we're gonna get out of this. See what kind of a series is on the line for us today. A couple drones went down to the Oracle. Obviously nothing too exciting in these first few minutes. Nothing really out of the ordinary or anything. We do have a few adepts up, but they don't have glaives or anything, so they're just going to try and aid these oracles and a little bit of harassment to your oracles, a handful of adepts. Sometimes, obviously, can do pretty well. Sometimes, again, get in for some reasonable damage as the oracles now. I'll just go for 2 more drones, so a little bit more done. Nothing too major. And on we go. So that just coming by, and as that comes on through, we have got ourselves the A couple of Adepts actually getting the chance to make their way in and will be able to start dealing some damage here. So, actually doing pretty okay with this for the moment. Again, 5 drones dead. Not a bad way to start. That's going to be seeing, obviously, with this kind of damage early, maybe ShoWTimE will dissuade Reynor from being able to do anything of the more aggressive variety. Yeah, definitely. Because anything aggressive here is just not going to have the oomph or the momentum to it to really be successful at this point. You're just taking way too much damage over, well, in my eyes, way too long a period, right? You know, this is something which is just continuing to kind of come in and attack at you, you know, hit you hard. This kind of does become painful, honestly, so... Yeah, definitely not having the greatest of times. You do have a few lings to break through some rocks. Reynor is heading into +1 missiles. Roach, you know, Roach Roaring as well. He is working off of the last, so once his Roach Roaring is done, he can go straight into the upgrade, of, which I imagine is going to be his immediate investment into a Roach Speed. And he is actually also going to drop down the Infestation Pit. That shows a little bit more of what he plans to do here. So a little bit more of that just on the way out. For the moment. So all of that is coming through. See our feelings continue to wander around for just a little bit, see if there is any damage that they might be able to get done, see if they can aid in any way, but doesn't really look too hopeful, doesn't really look as though there's much opportunity for them to get a lot done here, honestly. So yeah, not really achieving much in these early few moments. Just going to see the couple of Archons making their way along, and Adept Zealots continue to come around as well. And just going to be seeing the Prism looking for some damage. So, Swarm Host on the way up. Reynor, again, like a weird start to go into Swarm Host, I feel like. I feel like this is a start which doesn't really place you well. Because if you want to play Swarm Host, like, don't get me wrong, Swarm Host can play off of lower economies, they can play because they're so efficient, but when you've taken damage like this, it feels like the first wave of Swarm Host isn't going to hit as hard, and you really do want the Swarm Host to start up strong, and to be really just strong throughout the entire game, right? So, I'm not sure if we're going to find that with the way that this has been headed recently, but I mean, let's see, let's find out if I am incorrect. As we do get a hatchery kill, and that's going to be the 4th base of Reynor down. Now we come back to play the defense, as we do have, honestly, so far, no trouble at all for ShoWTimE. Just kind of expecting him to have some amount of issue here, but apparently not just yet. We'll knock through a set of rocks, and I mean, honestly, as ShoWTimE gets to Disruptors and Blink and +2 and +1, I really feel as though he's getting to a point where it's going to be very hard for Reynor to really do anything against him. It is just getting to that stage already where, I can say, the damage done early by ShoWTimE is being added up against Reynor, and it's definitely getting to a point, right, where it's just going to perhaps even be a little bit too much, all said and done. Let's see if these Locust can do enough as the first Disruptor shot goes to some Road Ravager. We are going to get these Locusts on top of the Archons. One goes down, the second goes down, no Super Battery, so we can't actually protect these Archons as well as you might. With the Super Battery, those Archons struggle to die a lot of the time, and maybe Reynor does find a way to surge forward here. Wow. Is this first wave going to... I mean, if this works for Reynor, it's going to be very frustrating for ShoWTimE, because he had a very good early game. He's up to Disruptor, so he's good against the Ground Army for the most part. He's just not good against the Locusts, really. I think that's what we're going to kind of end up seeing here, is that the Locusts are going to be... I mean, as they should be, right? I guess the Storm Host was the killer. I really thought Reynor was going to be set a little bit further back than this, and that he was just going to struggle to really do damage with the first waves of Locusts, but that has clearly just not been the case at all. As he just keeps on coming forward, it looks as though Reynor is going to be very well set here in this game one. And just going to keep on coming through, like I say, not giving up at all. Yeah, I mean, a few more Locusts, and ShoWTimE just going to type out GG. He's had enough. He doesn't think that there's anything for him to do here. So we'll just round this one out, and there we have a Reynor 1-0 lead in this series, just like that. So Reynor gets up to a 1-0 start. I really felt like this early game was so good for ShoWTimE, though. He kills so many drones, he got the 4th base, he just didn't have the protection and the defense he needed over on his own 3rd when it really counted. And unfortunately, that means it's just an unholdable position, and he does get busted through. I really didn't think that was going to happen. I'll double down on what I was believing in. That was really just not quite it. On the right side, we're going to start off with the blue Zerg player. This is Reynor. Top left, of course, ShoWTimE. We kick this one off, we get this one underway. We wait to see what is next for us here as we get this matchup up and rolling. Fun, exciting stuff is, hey, what's up, ZvP? Thank you so much for the resub. Welcome back. 15 months. Thank you so much for resubscribing. I really appreciate it. Well, so yeah, we get into this, and sorry, I was just trying to fix something, but it's not working, so apologies. As we get this underway, you can see the probe just nibbling around, a few drones getting back to building. Everything kind of as expected so far, nothing too wild as we go early in this game. Babylon, fun map, excited to see more of this. Really excited this map. And so good in the TLMC that we did. It was a very beautiful map. You know, honestly, did just give us some very good, consistent games. It was very enjoyable to play. Or to watch people playing. So yeah, it was very cool. Let's just have ourselves this Overlord hanging out over the left-hand side. Here's a Stargate opening again from ShoWTimE. Really felt like ShoWTimE did well in the opening. Follow-up that, you know, the follow-up, the lack of defense on the third that really let him down in the end. Unfortunately. Hopefully something that can be fixed up. Nice and easily without too many issues and so on. As we have ourselves just a couple of adepts. Trying to shade around, see if there is some potential damage to be done here in these early stages. We'll see if these adepts can get in and do some damage. That'd be great. Like I say, ShoWTimE had a great start, so if you can just replicate that, I mean, that's more easily said than done. You know Reynor's gonna come out with, you know, so much of a better defense than last time and everything, right? That's just the Reynor way. He just comes in when, you know, says, well, I'm just gonna fix my issues, right? If my defense wasn't quite on point last game, it will be on point this game, you know? Like I say, Reynor's just very good at doing that. He's very rarely beaten by the same thing or similar things twice, right? Let's just have our Nexus going through the Oracle reducing. I'm just going to be seeing a couple of queens come around to try to get over here and maybe possibly cause a little bit of trouble, potentially deal some damage. We just have our feelings making their way here to see if they can deal with this coming group of adepts as well. It's just keeping a a little eye on that, just keeping, you know, making sure they're not going to be able to cause too much trouble. Again, the Oracle's setting up too, so this really is just more of what we saw last time around, right? Nothing really changing thus far, I would say. Oracle gets in, a couple more drones drop. Yeah, I mean, we'll see if ShoWTimE can again continue to apply this pressure. One Oracle from the other direction, I love that. It's obviously a very cute little move. As you do see, Ling's actually getting surrounded a little bit. He is having a little bit of trouble. Trying to fight these Adepts, not really in high enough numbers to truly be scary or anything, so... yeah, not exactly an ideal start to this little battle that they were having. As the Adepts just continue over the other way. A couple Oracles will activate, will go after said drones, and just again, this is what, I mean, 9 workers of damage so far. So you've already again opened up with good damage here as ShoWTimE, and once again doing very well in the early stages. That's to be concerning if you're Reynor. I mean, your early game is one of the things you usually pride yourself upon. You know, your pristine early game, not taking damage, putting yourself into strong, you know, positions for the rest of the game. Because your early game was so good, and right now, honestly, you're being a little bit ripped apart in the early game, quite frankly, and I don't think that's being rude or anything. I think it's just being quite factful. Because, yeah, he is losing a lot of workers, and he's not getting anything out of it. It's not like ShoWTimE's giving up to do this damage either, right? Like, if ShoWTimE was giving up, like, an Oracle or two to do this, it's like, okay, well, yeah, Reynor takes damage, but ShoWTimE was very YOLO, right? Reynor, you know, defended expecting ShoWTimE to not be as overcommitted with the Oracles, but then ShoWTimE was overcommitted. But that's not the case at all here, like I say. It's definitely making this interesting, as now this push comes from ShoWTimE. He gets over here and gets himself a cancel on this base. A couple of force fields went down, trying to initiate something of a fight here and there, but nothing really came of it. It's going to be seen destructive production on the way. A couple of Overlords still on the way up as well. I'm just going to be having our Oracles still just on the hunt, right? So looking to see if there's anything more that they can find throughout these early stages. See if there's any more positions they can take advantage of, or anything along those lines. So let's try and see what's up right now. Yep, good to have those Oracles, obviously trying the best and trying to poke in. I mean, the more active they are, the better off you're going to be in the general sense of things. So it's doing a good job of things. As you have our fuelings, our few roaches make their way around to the top. It's almost here again, so it's this attempt of the same thing. It's almost like we're watching the same game on repeat, which is kind of intriguing. So a little bit different, a little bit of a different approach in terms of the map, but apart from the map, it's very similar, which, yeah, I mean, obviously, again, it's just, can ShoWTimE defend his third base, because he wasn't able to last time. That's really where this all went wrong. And this time around, the first wave he's okay against. Now let's see how he does on round 2, next couple of moments still. Let's see how Oracle's coming over. Gonna keep track of those swarms. You want to know where the next wave is coming from. If you can do that, you should be able to stay in pretty good position, honestly. There you go, though. Loca's coming through already. Disruptor's gonna aim towards the roaches for the most part, and then just try and let everything else go down from there. It's gonna be seeing the Guardian Shield popping up. Definitely trying to help out a little bit, and it's going to be seeing our roaches once again coming through. 11 drones going down on the other side again. ShoWTimE hitting these counterattacks and hitting them well, doing a lot with them. It's just a question of, again, at the end of the day, will the counterattacks alone be enough? Because he still needs to hold on, but I mean, his supply is looking much better than it looked before, so again, comparing to the last game at least, and he's got DTs mixed in here. Well, Overseer at least shows up to take care of that. Don't think anyone wanted to watch a game where, you know, DTs just start to kill every single swarm host. There you go, though. Loca's going to get involved, and, well, again, clean up pretty easily. Now we're just going to move across and defend against the Roach Ravager portion of this. So we make a move to do that. Just going to be seeing another disruptor shot flies. It doesn't quite land. Just going to be seeing everything else continue to fight for just a little while again, trying to find as much damage as possible here. Our Roaches and our Ravagers look as though they want to get back involved on the other side. Just staying so active for the most part, right? Just keeping themselves very busy. And these Stalkers have no real choice but to kind of run away, and all of a sudden these Locusts are going to flank them as well, so this might not be a pretty fight for ShoWTimE. This time I feel like the Locusts are not being stopped very quickly at all. They are just going to get a chance to run rampant, and that is obviously a big issue. This really could be quite a problem. GG's, Reynor just has way too much, and is going to be able to win this one out. And Reynor takes a 2-0 lead over ShoWTimE here in this series. As we have in the bottom right Reynor, and the top left is ShoWTimE. Have a look and see what's going to go down across this set of games, guys. Get this all underway, get this all started up. Reynor is obviously just been doing the kind of same thing a couple times over. So is ShoWTimE, but it's more normal for ShoWTimE and a Protoss player to kind of do, you know, two rounds of, you know, playing Stargate than the other way around, you know. So a little interesting to see kind of Reynor kind of being just so persistent with, hey, look, I think these, you know, I think these swarm hosts are actually very good. I actually think these are a way for me to really do very well and everything. So yeah, I guess we'll see. If he wants to stick to that once again. This map weirds me out, guys. I think the angling of the ramps and the bases, like, it's off, or it's different to usual. And so it feels like the camera is constantly at a weird angle. Is this just me? Does anyone else feel like this? Because I 100% feel like this. And I don't know if I'm just being, like, crazy, or if I'm actually being, like, you know, if this is actually, like, a real thing. It's kind of silly, I think. Maybe. Anyways, we do have our initial setup here. Just going to be a little bit of probe scout, and then all the rest looking pretty normal for an early few moments. Nothing too out of the ordinary here. Things looking pretty reasonable, pretty respectable for the moment, at least. Probe comes on by and just trying to stay involved in things. Actually gonna loop back around to the bottom side. So trying to check on a third base location, perhaps. Again, these are newer maps, and especially when this match was played, I imagine this was a one of the first times that these guys have played it. So, because it's a couple weeks old at this point, just a little reminder. And just because of that, I feel like maybe that is a good enough reason to maybe expect that, you know, maybe ShoWTimE wants to know, hey, where do you think you're going to take your base? Obviously, it's good to know that just in general, get confirmation it is coming. This is not going to be some weird 2-base thing. You're down 0-2. The last thing you want to be doing is taking a quick loss because you were not as, you know, not as kind of thorough as you should be with the scouting, right? That would be very silly, unnecessary way to lose. So yeah, just trying to make sure that's not going to be the case, I imagine. Don't have obviously those gold minerals you can mine out to gain access to the other side. Usually. It seemed like it was going to be a factor in this in the past. We'll see. Take that third base over to the right has been fairly popular, but actually going to take a forward third base here at ShoWTimE, so I wonder if he has some intriguing plans about how he wants to expand here and what exactly he wants to try and do. Just going to be seeing these oracles coming in. 3 drones again. I will repeat myself. It's been a very good day for oracles from ShoWTimE against Reynor. And I only really repeat this because, like I say, Reynor really has been a very consistent player when it comes to not taking early game damage, not letting early game damage get out of hand and out of control. And so far this series, that's just not been the case. So it's a little bit kind of not like Reynor, I suppose, but not in any sort of majorly bad way. Obviously not in something he can't fix or anything, just, I think, worth noting. So that is, you know, something to keep in mind, if nothing else. It's going to be seeing oracles coming back down toward the bottom right. A little bit of investigations to what's going on. Oracles come in, a couple of drones going to start dropping pretty much straight away, so drones going down without much answer again. Just ShoWTimE, 5 workers killed. I mean, he has had more kills in previous games, right? So it's not like this is the craziest for him. I would go ahead and say that, you know, that's the thing, right? Like, it's not exactly been bad for him in the previous games. It's been very good for him in the previous games. But he wasn't able to do enough in the previous games. It wasn't enough to give him the victory. So do we get worried because now he's not finding as much damage as he did previously? And, you know, previously it wasn't enough anyways. I don't think so. Reynor's just going to go Swarm Host again. Reynor says, yeah, I mean, when you can beat it, I suppose we can do something different. As these queens come over, they're going to go into towards the prism. Extra round of zealots warping in, and a couple of Archons leading the charge through here for the moment. So, yeah, in towards this forward hatchery. This is not one which is going to be easily kept alive at the very least. So, already taking a few shots on that. And now there's our Archon combo coming around, coming up, and actually going to continue into this natural, so ShoWTimE going to hit before Reynor can really set up into the Swarm Host this time. So this time it's ShoWTimE to try and make a little bit of a difference. Try and spice things up a little bit here. Which I can 100% get behind, because again, he definitely does feel as though he needs to do something a bit different to what's been happening in these previous games. Otherwise, I mean, you do more of the same, and you're left questioning, is it ever going to go differently? Now, only 3 drones have died so far. If Reynor can get this under control, it should be fine for him. And as you force the recall, that pretty much is under control apart from these couple oracles. I mean, 4 drones lost, I feel like, is very reasonable for this. I really don't feel like that is bad at all. That feels very good, actually, so well done, I have to say, so far by Reynor. Good defense, doesn't let this get out of hand, doesn't let this get out of control. Keeps himself in a reasonable position, keeps himself in a good place, and puts himself in position to, well, stay alive in this game, and now he is going to get the Swarm Host out. Obviously, with the gold minerals still up on this side, you could Swarm Host over there, and then the Swarm Hosts are safe, and they just jump across the minerals into the base. That could be something of an important factor, or something important for us to watch here. Definitely a possibility for where some of this damage is going to come from. So Swarm Hosts continue to get settled for the moment and just getting ready to launch these attacks. I mean, ShoWTimE is actually moving forward. If he walks into this, do you feel a little bit concerned, perhaps? Maybe. I mean, fighting this in the open doesn't really feel like something you want to be doing if it's not exactly being, you know, good for you in the first place, right? So, yeah, I can kind of understand. Want to be careful here. Just going to be seeing disruptor shots coming through. Tell you what, though, if you do catch this out in the open, you force the Swarm Host here, then you retreat, then the Locusts are just going to be kind of flying in the middle of nowhere. And they're still going to reach ShoWTimE's base because it's the forward base. So the idea is good. The idea of, hey, look, if I can just force you over here, then retreat, your Swarm Host on cooldown, that's a wasted cooldown, and I don't have to play the defense as much. So ShoWTimE is adapting in some amount to how these games have been going. He's trying to waste Swarm Host waves, etc., but so far, it's not really, in my eyes, obviously turned out to be quite enough. I'm going to be seeing a few more Stalkers continuing back along. Just going to be seeing the attempt to come and catch the Swarm Host. Some of them low HP, but I feel like going to be tough to truly get rid of them here. I see our Stalkers starting to go through the Locust, but the base is already lost, so that base does go down. That's going to be a cost at the very start, unfortunately. And ShoWTimE just having to deal with these Swarm Hosts and deal with the fact that they are consistently so far able to deal damage, so... Roach is actually going to find Disruptor that was kind of in the wall off. We're going to turn around here, we're going to get the other Disruptor. The next one does fire, but we're still killing multiple Disruptors. I feel like if we're killing multiple Disruptors, we're pretty okay about how this is going in general, right? I feel like this is really not too much of an issue, so if you can get rid of all these Disruptors, then yeah, I feel like we're going to be pretty happy and pretty okay to go forwards. Roaches continue to fight these few Stalkers, just continue to stand there and try and take something of a trade. I mean, is it going to be enough? Again, without any Disruptors left, without any real splash damage remaining, it stays on a couple of the Swarm Hosts, but I mean, again, ShoWTimE's supply is lacking by about 60 compared to Reynor's. Now, that's not super weird. It's just with the way that everything else has been going, it's hard to then feel hopeful for ShoWTimE. So, yeah, I guess we'll see in these next few moments as we continue along. Swarm Host coming back again. Oh, good Disruptor shots! Bam, bam! We get ourselves some of these Swarm Hosts. I mean, considering how these games have been going, I feel like anytime you see a Swarm Host die right now, as ShoWTimE, you've got to be pretty excited and pretty happy with it. So you get some damage done. Hurrah! Is it going to be enough? Can it actually make a difference here, I think, becomes a new question. That's a very good question. I'm not really sure if it is. We still have Reynor knocking on the front door. 100 supply lead in the game. And yeah, sometimes that might be plausible, doable, usable, but I just really do not feel like it is this time. Now, Stalkers will get through the Roach Ravager a little bit, so towards the tail end, ShoWTimE finds a bit more value. It's just, up until this point, the value has not been there for him in the slightest. And that, of course, is turning out to be painful, unusable, and playable. GG's. Reynor takes a 3-0 in this finals, actually, so very convincing finals from Reynor when you look at it like that, obviously. And, yeah, just comes out in a great way, great place. Solid 3-0 from Reynor. I honestly thought that first game and the early games in general were just shaky, but what was shakier was that, you know, ShoWTimE just didn't have a response in any way, shape, or form. We had no response available for playing against the Swarm Hosts, and it just didn't work out for him in the slightest from there. So